Well, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the cabin. It actually got down to 31 degrees last night. It's supposed to be down to 27 tonight. So it looks like winter is trying to make its way into the picture here at the homestead. We actually had someone send us a gift through the mail from Texas that was supposed to be used on any type of equipment that we needed up here at the homestead. So since my neighbor's wife is sick and I don't get to visit with him as much as I used to, I mean, I still go up there and we sit out on the porch sometimes and talk. As far as going anywhere, he doesn't do that much anymore because of, like I say, her being sick. So a lot of the stuff that I have done in the past up there, I'm going to have to start relying or being self-sufficient and doing it myself. So there are still some things that I can't do, and he can take short periods of time out to help me, but he kind of has to take care of her. But you know, working on the tools and the things, restoring things like I do, I need a way to buff them and I need a way to get rust off. So what we did, we used some of that money to purchase a buffing machine that basically has a buffer on one side and a wire wheel on the other. So what I picked up here was a 6-inch buffer that's made by Central Machinery, and he warned me about getting one that had a high RPM, but I couldn't find one that had a less, so I'm just going to have to be very careful because you can burn up by the fast rotation speed, whatever it is that you're working on. So I'll just have to take precautions. But anyway, it's just simple. It's got an on and off switch right here. It's got a buffing pad on this side, and then it's got the wire wheel on this side. I also needed to get some compound for the buffing pad over here, but they didn't really have any. They had buffing compound in colors, but I need more of a compound, like in a very fine, a medium, and then a coarse grit. So I'm going to go ahead and order those online. Because like I say, they didn't have any where I was at yesterday. But anyway, we do have a buffing machine now. I do have the wire wheel that I can work on as far as getting rust off. Now I had to add a washer onto this side right here because this wire wheel has a couple of little plastic inserts that go, because it's actually 5/8 that takes it down to a 1/2 inch, and I couldn't get the threads quite all the way because I had to reverse the two sleeves basically that go on the shaft here and they hold the wheel. I had to turn them in because they're kind of concave shape to where they would hold that piece of plastic in there. But like I say, it was simple. All I had to do, I actually had a 1/2 inch washer, so I added that on there and it was pretty big, about 2 inches around, so it worked really well. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to tighten up one side over here first, because one has right-handed threads, the other one has left-handed threads. So we're going to just tighten that up there where it's not going to fly off. Then we're going to do this other side the same way. See, this one has left-handed threads. And we're tightening up on the buffing wheel right now. And I think that's just about it. Alright. So now we got that tight and we got that tight. So we'll give this a try shortly. This is basically what the wire wheel came in. It came with the buffing pad, and I went ahead and purchased the wire wheel to go with it. That way I could, you know, rub rust off, or just kind of, you know, take any unwanted material off of something that I'm working on. So we've got the new buffing machine now. The other thing that I want to get is a grinder, which I'll have to purchase separately. I didn't actually have my glasses with me yesterday, so it was kind of difficult to read fine print and so forth. So I want to be sure and take those with me next time when I go. because I think that they did have one there that had an adjustable speed on it. I think the top speed was like 3,500, but it would go down to 19 or something like that. He told me the best to get was around 2,500. So we're going to have to get one of those, and we'll take the rest of the money that was sent and we'll purchase one of those at a later date. Now, the other thing that I did was I stopped by the antique shop, and there I found 3 items. I found they had several extension cords. I went ahead and bought one. I think I only gave, like, I don't remember, $8 for it or something. I found a coping saw, which is something that I may be using in the future, making more intricate wood projects. And then I found another pair of these. These are basically ice picks. And how you use this, it's got this handle up here, okay, and it's got a pivot, and it allows these to separate. Let me hold it upside down. It allows these to separate like that. These were used for carrying dry ice, the big ice blocks, okay. I can remember when I was a kid, I've still got a scar on my left leg. I was trying to climb over a barbed wire fence and got hung up on it. So I was laying on the ground with my leg hiked up there, and my dad came, removed the fence from my leg so it would let go, because it was actually like a fish hook, you know, it had hooked into my skin, 2 barbs, one on each side. Anyway, and I can remember him going in the house and bringing that ice block out and putting it on my leg. Anyway, this is what he used. Now, the cool thing about this is it separates far enough. Those timbers that we're making for the timber frame workshop down there, they're 6x6. I can actually drop this around the timber, pick up on it. Now, the thing is, when you pick up, they tighten up, okay? So I can actually pick this up and be able to drag the log around. Now, that's not what these are made for, but they will work for that. Now, I had a set of these when I first started working up here, and I must have laid them down in the woods, and of course you can see the color of them right here. They're dark and they blend in with the leaves, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some paint, and I'll probably paint the top half of this, because this is the half that will not be getting banged up or anything. Put some paint on there, that way if I do lay them down they'll be a lot more visible. But the cool thing is I only spent $30 for this, the nice coping saw that I got, and the extension cord, which is not a bad deal. I can always find good stuff at the antique store that can be used. Yes, they are old manual tools, but they still work, and it's a lot of fun. You know, and I've said this before, if you didn't have power, or if you didn't have any means to generate power, then hand tools would be your option. And you know, if we were in a situation where you weren't able to use power tools, having the skills and the know-how to be able to use old hand tools, you can still continue to work on your projects. And then one of the last things that I picked up I picked this up from Harbor Freight, was 2 10-inch blades. My table saw actually uses 10-inch, and I also have a 10-inch chop saw. So I've got one for each one of those, and then I've also got a 12-inch blade out there that I need to swap out on my 12-inch chop saw. So I have used the Harbor Freight blades, and they actually last a long time, so I don't have any problem of buying those down there. This one's actually got 60 teeth on it. This one's kind of an all-purpose, but yeah, I don't use the table saw all that much because I have the sawmill and I'm not doing smaller projects, but I do have to have it, you know, for certain things. The chop saw I use probably more than I use the table saw, but one of those blades, I think I have been using the same blade that came with that chop saw since I purchased it, which was about 4 years ago. So, like I say, I don't use it that much, but they will last a long time. So, I don't have any problem. This is the Hercules brand. I don't have any problem using the blades from Harbor Freight. Okay, I have the new extension cord that I purchased hooked up to one of my battery supplies, which is hooked up to the machine, and we'll give it a shot here. So we'll be testing out this and the new cord at the same time. The dog had to come see what all that noise was about. That's something he's never heard before. But hey, they both work. I was sitting here thinking, while I had turned that thing on, that it would be nice to have a small propane forge to be able to heat up some metal, you know, maybe make some old-fashioned nails, you know, just to be able to maybe fix some tools that I've got up here. Nothing, you know, I'm not talking about building something out of metal, because I'm not, I know how to halfway work with wood, but I am no good with metal. But anyway, it would be nice to have one of those. So I told my son, I said, you know, at some point we need to look into getting one of those, because I don't have a big need, and also maybe one of the new small 110 welders, you know, just to be able to fix some tractor tools up here, you know, implements, or some of the hand tools that I have if I need to make something, you know, just, you know, something basic, something general. I would have the means to do so. So whether you may realize it or not, there is a lot of maintenance that goes on a homestead up here like this, especially, you know, building a lot of buildings like we're doing up here, to be able to maintain your tools or create a new tool if they don't make anything like it that you might need. As long as you can think it up and design it in your head, you know, you can make it. Now for me, it would probably be made out of wood instead of metal, but slowly I'm kind of moving in that direction. So hopefully, you know, I'll learn enough basics to be able to do the things that I need to do up here at the cabin. I had to go turn the stove off because it got way too warm in here. I've had it on about 2 hours. It is 80 degrees and it's still 31 degrees outside. So that new gas stove is propane stove. It is working tremendously. I think last night the dogs, around 4 o'clock in the morning, they want to get up and go outside. You know, haven't really washed them. I think they go out to go to the bathroom, but they may just want to get outside. Who knows? Anyway, they'll always wake me up around 4 o'clock. I can hear Smokey going, like that. That's his sign for, hey, I need to get out. I am really pleased with the gas stove. Now, I could get a temperature control that would keep it the same temperature in the house, but it was over $300, between $300 and $400, and I thought, you know, for that price, I could just walk over there and turn it on or turn it off, because when I turn it on, it's always on low. I've not used it on high. So it's on low, and this is right at 1,000 square feet, and it does an extremely good job of heating this place. So it really only gets turned on twice a day, or it has been, you know, since we've been down in the 40s. But I imagine when we get down in the 20s and the 30s, I might have to turn it on about 3 times a day. So the house only gets heated for 1.5 hours to 2 hours at a time, heats it up, and then it stays like that for quite a while. So in the morning, I will turn it on as I'm cooking breakfast. I'll let it run until I'm done with that and get dressed, get ready to go outside, and then it goes off. And then it's off the rest of the day till I come in the evening, and generally I will probably turn it on around 8 o'clock, heat the place up till about 10, then I go to bed. But like I say, when it gets colder, I may have to heat it up 3 times. But yeah, it works extremely well. You know, on our live stream the other night, we asked if folks liked the direction that this Outpost Review channel was going. So if you're new here to this channel, this is basically behind the scenes of what's going on up here at the Outpost. And I share a lot of the chores that I do that I don't film on the main channel, and a lot of the things that I do that I prep for to be able to film the main channel. And I decided, you know, instead of just talking, that it would probably serve you guys better if I took you along and we just did the chores together. That way you're familiar with what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So yeah, I mean, if you like what we're doing here, be sure and share this with your family, your friends, and tell them it might be something that they're interested in, because the little channel is actually growing pretty well. So I want to be able to share this with you right here, because this is the newest item, and thank you so much from Texas. You know, it's harder and harder to make any money on YouTube now, and this is not only timely, but it was well needed. to be able to, like I said, keep the tools in good working order up here, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing like using a good sharp hand saw. It's just about as fast as a skill saw, and you don't have to recharge the batteries. Another thing is, there's nothing like using a good sharp chisel. Now, I wouldn't sharpen them on these, I have stones, but what I'm saying is having the ability to maintain your tools, there's nothing like using a good sharp chisel, because it cuts, and it cuts fast, even if it's hardwood. So being able to keep a razor edge on those, the shovels, the mattock, the hoe, anything that you have that you use that's a hand tool, keeping it sharp and ready to use makes the work so much easier. It's very, very difficult to use a tool that's not sharp. Even the chop saw down there, if I don't have a good blade on it, it's not going to cut very well. You're going to end up with a bunch of tear out and stuff like that. A good sharp saw, a lot of times will leave a good clean cut. So not only that, but the chisels, your knife, your pocket knife, your hunting knife, anything, like I said, that you use on a regular basis, if it's a hand tool, it needs to be ready to use. Because a tool like a knife, if it's not sharp, then you take a chance on trying to force it into whatever it is that you're trying to do, which increases the likelihood 100-fold of you having an accident. Now, you can also get hurt with a good sharp instrument, but like I say, chances are you're not going to try to be forcing it. So, what would be the likelihood if you slip and you got a cut, right, from a good sharp tool, right? It's going to cut you. But I think in my mind's eye, if I'm trying to force that and then it slips, you could take something off. You could probably hurt yourself a whole lot worse. So, ask anybody that uses hand tools, and they will tell you the sharper they are, the less likely you are to have an accident, and it's going to make your work a lot more enjoyable, a lot cleaner, based on what it is that you're doing, and the experience a whole lot more pleasant if you take those precautions. So I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to get my jacket and my shoes on. We're going to take these out, and we're going to see if they're going to serve the purpose that I need up here at the cabin. This every morning. I figured I better come up here and feed the chickens before I got started. Well, I finished it off with some cracked corn and some layer pellets, and I've actually got, I can't pull them all out, but I got 7 eggs in my pocket right here. So we'll take those down there, we'll date them, and that way we'll know how old they are. Cheap way of dating these, I just use the marks a lot, put them on there that way, and I try to put the newest ones, I'll rotate and put them on the bottom, and then the oldest ones I have them up top. But yeah, these last about, I was mistaken, I had said 2 or 3 months. They'll last about 3 weeks, possibly 4 weeks, without being refrigerated if you don't start out refrigerating them. Now, the thing that I need to find out is when it's cold outside, and it got down to freezing last night, if this egg has been frozen once, do I need to keep it in the refrigerator? If you know, make sure and leave me a comment down below, otherwise I'm going to have to research that. But in the summertime, when the eggs are warm, if you don't refrigerate them and just leave them out at room temperature, they will last because they have a protective barrier on the outside that keeps the egg fresh. But if you break that barrier, and you can't see it, it's on the outside of the shell, then that's why they tell you not to wash them if you're just going to leave them set outside or at room temperature, because you would get rid of that protective membrane that's actually there that you can't see. But yeah, if you know that if I need to go ahead once they have been frozen, like in the wintertime, and refrigerate them, comment and let me know. Otherwise, I'll try to research that and let you know next time. Well, it's a little bit windy out here, but you guys can imagine like one of these being the 6x6. Actually, when you put that thing in there and then you lift up on it, it bites in. So I can take it wherever I needed to go. You know, if it was wet and I didn't want to get it up next to me, as long as I could pull it manually, I can drag it wherever it needs to go and then unhook it. Sometimes you might have to put just a little bit of pressure right here to get them started, but like I say, for the most part, they'll dig in right there. But yeah, a set of these could come in really handy for just about anything that you could think of that you could use that way, or maybe some other ways. But like I said, I had a set of these, but I laid them down and they kind of match the leaves, and they'll forever be here somewhere. They'll probably end up underneath the soil somewhere, unless I just happen to uncover the leaves and find them. But they were about that size right there. They do come in different sizes. I think they were about that size. They might have been just a little bit smaller, but I was able to find these yesterday and I went ahead and picked them up. Like I said, I only spent $31 for the coping saw, this, and the extension cord that I picked up. So they always give me a good deal there. So lately, some of the top cuts or the outside of the log, when I trimmed it off, I went ahead and laid them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. I've got a couple laying here, and I got 4 that I had stored up here. And what I'll do when I get ready to burn and oil them, what I'll do is I'll stand them upright and I will mill off the top side flat, and then I will be able to flip those over. They will sit flat on the floor. They will be burned and they will be oiled, but they will be kind of like a live edge on the top. So I'll leave that to where it will run wild, and then it'll have that nice burnt look on it with that oil, and it will match everything we've done up here. And it is a way to utilize material. You kind of have to look at things outside the box, not for what they are, but what they could be used for. And so these I used as the trim between the sheetrock and the plywood that I've got on the walls in there. And I'm also going to use those, like I said, for the baseboards. So yeah, I think that it really looks good once it's all finished and done, and then you've got that live wild edge running, and it just makes things, I think things that have the rough look appearance but yet are done and have some detail to them, I think they just look so great. And those will go with the ones that I've already got the bark shaved off. I've got to do those alike. And then we will burn these and we will oil them up, because this will become the baseboards for the cabin. I had these tied in there with a string, So I needed to make a way where these wouldn't fly out when I was going down the interstate or just going down the road. So I've got a 2x6 actually in the front, which I cut out to fit into this plastic panel. So these actually go down in there fairly tight, and they won't slide backwards and forwards. They may go sideways because this is plastic. I've got a rubber mat in the Chevrolet. That's what I need to get to go in here. That way this stuff doesn't slide. But yeah, this keeps them from going backwards and forwards, and it keeps them back here where they're easy to refill. So then all I have to do is take my tailgate, shut it. When I get to the filling station, just undo the cap, fill them up, and then they stay right there. I tell you what, friends, this could have been a real blooper of a video, because all that bending over and sawing and putting that piece in the back of the truck, not realizing that I still had an egg in my pocket here. I guess I'd only taken out 6 or out of the 7, either that or last time Jennifer told a joke and I laughed so hard I may have laid an egg and just didn't know it was there. Don't tell her I said that. But anyway, what I was sitting here thinking was that these boards that I was talking about making for with the live edge side for the baseboards of the cabin there's a really good example of when we did the timber frame workshop of hewed timber versus that hasn't been hewed, and that has the wood protectant on it versus the wood that has the oil on it. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, click up here in the top right hand corner. It's a little short 8-minute video. I think you'll enjoy it. Friends, thanks so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.